Hey everyone, and welcome to Comic Breakdown. So before we get into today's issue, I really want to thank everybody for the enormous support I've been getting. This channel has been getting so much attention, and I really appreciate everyone who's taken the time to comment, to like my videos, to subscribe to the channel, to help it grow. I greatly appreciate you guys, so thank you so much. And if you're new to the channel, please be sure that you guys like the videos and subscribe so you don't miss any of the content I've coming out. And for today's issue, we're going to be diving into Justice League Annual number 2. Now, I already covered Annual number 1 in the beginning of the week. If you guys haven't checked that out, I'll leave a link in the description and at the top of the video so you can check that video out, find out what's going on with the annual. This annual in particular isn't anything like the other annual, so these guys don't connect at all. And with that being said, let's dive into this issue. So diving into this one, we're met with Batman calling in the Justice League. And Batman's gonna need the expertise of everybody for this crime scene. And as they all arrive, within the Hall of Justice, they find a dead body. Naked, bleeding out, but life has expired. And so seemingly it seems like a murder on the inside of the Hall of Justice. You know, this and to further that, they're in a secure sub-basement level. So this is like an area that people just don't get to. So obviously with a murder happening, Batman's closed down everything. You know, any other leaguers are to stay away, and they've cordoned the entire crime scene, to including closing the museum to the public. And the thing is, nobody knows who this is. Like, there is just a random dead guy in one of the most secure places in the Hall of Justice. And so obviously this is like a catastrophic breach in security. And so they all start diving into investigative mode. And Barry does what Barry does best and starts checking out the crime scene. You know, he is a crime scene investigator, you know, a forensic scientist. So these are things that he literally does for a living. And we learned that this individual wasn't murdered at another location and moved. Like, whatever happened right here. And Batman searches the computer, and we find out that there's missing surveillance footage from all cameras an hour and a half ago for a length of 1 minute and 43 seconds. So whatever happened within that 1 minute and 43 seconds, about an hour and a half ago. And so they start deducing what could or who could possibly do this. And of course we go over the list of speedsters, you know, Reverse Flash, Zoom, Savitar, Hermes could do this, you know. There's so many possibilities. But we also learned that Hal Jordan can actually detect residual traces of Speed Force energy with his lantern ring. Now, I didn't personally know that was possible before. That may be something new with this annual. But even Barry's just like, wow, you can do that? I can't even do that, and I'm a speedster. Like, that doesn't make any sense. They look for traces of magic or the possibility of magic in this situation, but nobody's able to really deduce what happened here. You know, this is supposed to be the most secure building on the planet, on several planets to be specific. John Stewart himself worked on the blueprints. So this is, you know, he worked on every level, every entrance, every window. Everything's rated against attacks from Omega level threats. And then this is when the entire facility goes into lockdown, but our heroes did not initiate the lockdown. And this is when we hear Zod protocol initiated. And they immediately think Zod's here. But what we see is Superman getting flooded with red solar radiation, and Barry tries to vibrate through the walls. He tries to phase through, and he's unable to because the Reverse Flash defenses go online. John Stewart tries to use his lantern ring, and they use the Sinestro protocol failsafe, and it essentially beams his lantern energy blast all over the room. And before Wonder Woman's able to make her strike, Batman stops her and lets her know, like, all the protocols have been activated. You know, at this point, we can't do anything against these. You know, we developed these specifically to fight our most dangerous adversaries with the same identical abilities to our own. Or at least for most cases, that is the case. And now the Hall is in combat mode, and so it's fighting the Justice League. So we have a Justice League versus the Hall of Justice. And this is where Barry gets an idea. He takes a batarang from Batman, and though these walls are impenetrable, using these two things together, his speed and that batarang, he'll be able to go fast enough to tap into the wall, and especially with the help of John Stewart blasting it, blast the batarang enough into the wall to let the door open up. And as they go to leave, they realize that the body they came here for in the beginning has pretty much disintegrated. So it is more or less an organic construct. It was created just to draw them here as a ruse. And so they all leave to take off and get out of the room. And as they leave, some of the Sentry drones take them on. And our Justice League really isn't able to fight these guys. You know, we have Superman that's cloaked right now with the Green Lantern ring, so he can have some kind of power. But, you know, he was hit with red sun radiation, so essentially he's powerless right now. And the goal is to get him to the solar radiation chamber so he can heal up. And so the Justice League is really losing this fight against these Sentries. And John Stewart gets an idea. And he creates a construct that essentially redirects the blasts that are coming from these Sentry droids. And it shoots them right back at the droids, and they explode. Now, with this fight being won, they break off into teams. So Batman and Wonder Woman head to the system's mainframe. And Batman actually has a contingency if the automated system was ever offline or there were a problem with it. He created a analog key entry system that's essentially offline from the rest of the system. So he created backdoors within the Hall of Justice. Now, Green Lantern, Superman, and the Flash head off through the garage. And as they go through the garage, the vehicles start to come to life. Batman and Wonder Woman are met with microbots. And luckily, they're able to detonate a pulse grenade to get rid of these things. Simultaneously, our other three heroes are getting attacked in the garage by all of the superhero vehicles. So all the vehicles have essentially come to life. Now, these things are pretty much, you know, all connected to the system. So whatever's controlling the system has activated these cars and has them attacking our heroes. And they're able to make it out in time. And we really get some cool stuff here. You know, we see the old Supermobile. You know, and though it was really kind of dumb for them to create a car for Superman who can fly, it still was really unique to the time period that it was created in. And they even hinted that here a little bit in the comic. Now, with all of this happening, finally Batman's starting to understand what is happening. You know, he was developing those microbots as a new defense for tech-based threats, but it hadn't been added to the Hall of Justice systems yet. And this is where he finally figures out it's the Eradicator. They've been fighting the Eradicator the entire time. And this is where the Eradicator initiates Doomsday Contingency. And a self-destruct sequence is initiated. But it won't detonate until they clear the atmosphere, so they still technically have time. And Eradicator lets them know, like, you let me into your system, into your network. You know, you couldn't contain me. Even if you wanted to contain me, you couldn't contain me. Now, the reason they had Eradicator's head in here is essentially Eradicator's brain is a computer processing system. And it was processing every single scenario that they could ever face. You know, 1 trillion lifetimes over. So their goal was to essentially use the Eradicator to foretell what's going to happen in the future so they can best prepare for it. An Eradicator got into their system and found out exactly how to beat them. Each individual one. Found out their weaknesses, found out what they can't resist, you know, like a murder in the Hall of Justice. You know, all of them had to come to this. He knew it would get him there. But he was able to break past the firewalls into the systems. And this is when Wonder Woman drives her sword right into the mainframe and completely disconnects Eradicator from the system, and the system goes offline. Now, Superman's able to get into the solar regeneration chamber. And with this, he gets his powers, and he gets outside to stop the Hall of Justice from falling from the sky. So him and Wonder Woman bring the Hall of Justice back down, safe and sound, onto the ground. And they talk about how they understand their mistakes in this situation. Like, they were so focused on defending against any villain, they forgot what makes them heroes, you know? Their shields became weapons against them, and it could have endangered a lot of people. You know, they tried to control the Eradicator, a villain, instead of relying on each other, which is their greatest strength. they can plan for every single scenario, and it could help in some situations. But at the end of the day, these individuals together can really wing any situation. Their combined powers, their combined intellect, their combined abilities, these individuals as a group are literally the strongest thing the multiverse has ever seen. And this is where we cut over to Batman throwing Eradicator's head into a storage bin and kind of just packing it away. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think. Eradicator's head is now in a box in his storage facility, which definitely could be used, could be stolen later on. Who knows the possibilities of what could happen there? And the story's really telling us that the Justice League, as individuals could easily be defeated, but as a team, they can't be. Even without a plan, these individuals always find a way, no matter what the cost, no matter what the stakes, they always get the job done. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Did you like this annual? It wasn't super fancy, there wasn't anything crazy going on. It was definitely a very Batman themed when it comes to the murder mystery aspect of it, very Barry Allen. So I did enjoy that aspect of it. The artwork I would say is relatively good. It kind of reminds me of the late 90s, the early 2000s comics. So yeah, let me know what you guys think, and if you haven't, be sure to like and subscribe to the page, and until the next video.